Okay, so welcome to Math 1A, Calculus 1. Very excited to be here and to be teaching you. I wish I was in the classroom with you guys, but I'm not. Silver lining behind this is that you get to record the lectures. Hold on. And you can go back and watch those if you need to review something, or if you miss class, you have lectures recorded. Other silver lining on doing it this way is in the future, when I am back in the classroom, I'll have videos recorded for students as supplemental material, or possibly being able to flip the classroom, which is something that I've wanted to do and I've only tried once, where students learn the material outside of class, watching lectures, come to class and do more group work and in-class exercises and games and etc. One thing I loved about this class being 4 days a week was that a lot of times on Thursdays I would spend as a day that we did in-class exercises and got into groups and work on some fun worksheets and stuff. I might try to do that this semester, but it is a little bit harder to do that remotely. If I do that, this is something that I probably would not record on the lecture recording. So you would have to find out that we did do an in-class exercise. If it's possible, I would let you do it late for a partial credit and turn it in. Some of those we might not be able to if it was like a Kahoot game that we did. That's something that you just can't make up. I maybe give you a different assignment to make up those points.
Question.
Yeah.
So if we have one that isn't going to be recorded, would it be all right if we record ourselves?
Yes.
All
yes,
right.
Definitely.
Thank you.
And again, most of the stuff that I'm going to be recording is when I'm lecturing on the material itself. And I would stop it if I was talking to you, maybe just seeing how you guys are doing, how it was your weekend. I won't record that stuff. Or kind of to find out, you know, okay, should we have that test on Wednesday and Thursday next week, or do we need a little bit extra time? Stuff like that. I won't record that, but I would let you guys know once an exam is coming up, at least multiple weeks beforehand. So I want to share my screen with you. You guys are all here, so my guess is that you got here through Canvas and had no problems. Earlier today, when I was teaching class, I did have problems getting to this course through Canvas. I kept on getting an error. I was able to kind of go around that by going through Confer Zoom itself and then sending out a link to my students in that class via email. So that's something that might happen if you're having problems getting in. I find though, a lot of times if I keep on clicking Confer Zoom and to log in, eventually I get there. But there are times where I have problems getting in right away. Again, I want to share my screen with you. So right now you should be looking at my screen, which is my Canvas page with all my courses and some extra goodies. And so this blue kind of calculus icon, that one's yours, and you should see that on your Canvas page. And so you would click on that, that would bring you into this course. Now I'm new on teaching remotely and online. I didn't do that, I started doing that middle of last spring. So my pages might not look as nice and thorough as some of your other instructors, but I'm going through a process of getting better and learning more. And this Canvas page, this will be added to maybe daily, possible, but definitely weekly, and you want to come back here and check things out. You will get to your class through, again, Confer Zoom. You're all here. Oops, and now I'm getting this error, and that's what I was getting earlier today. Try it one more time. Aha, see, click it twice. Sometimes just doing it multiple times, you'll get in. So notice up here in this top row, you see event recordings. If you click on the event recordings, that's where you're going to come to watch the videos of the lectures that I recorded. It tends that a Converge Zoom will post these usually within the hour after the class ends. And so you should have no problem getting in and watching a lecture if you missed it, or if you want to go back and refer to something. Okay. So you got a couple things due today, or not today, but tomorrow. And part of this is to help you prepare for when it comes to the future, or you need to upload assignments, that you know how to do this correctly. And I'm not getting assignments in 100 different formats, and it's harder to grade. So you're going to want to read the syllabus. I'm actually going to go through, and we're going to just quickly, maybe quickly, hopefully quickly, talk about the course. And you'll notice that in the syllabus, after each kind of category, you'll see a line. And you want to either initial on that line or star there. And that star means that there's something in there that you just don't understand or you need more clarification on. But you're going to print off this syllabus, and you're going to go through, you're going to read it, you're going to initial or star each one of those lines, either verifying that you understand what is expected of you, or that you have some questions. Email, you always want to email your instructors through your college email address. We're not allowed to really respond to students that are not using those email addresses. And so if you're not getting a response, it could be that you're not emailing me through your college email address. The other thing is that we, as instructors and the college, send you a lot of information through that college email address. So you want to make sure that you're checking that regularly. And if you want to, you're able to get it so that it's forwarded to a different email. That way, if you need to, so that you're checking it regularly. Class times, while you're here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 1 to 1:50. And it will all be through Converge Zoom through the rest of the semester. Well, it's always been through Converge Zoom. What else can I say? You already know how to get in here. Office, well, Office is my Converge Zoom. Right now, in the basement, kind of storage room, extra TV room, workout room of my in-laws. Later, you'll be having office hours in my bedroom, which is kind of weird. Anyways, and class will be held in my bedroom. Very weird. Anyways, what else was I going to say? Sorry. So I don't have my office, my physical office, which is on the Marysville campus, but I want you guys to know my office number, 848D. That way in future semesters when we are on ground again, you can come and say hi to me and pop in and tell me how you're doing. I love it when students do that. I have had students come back after graduating from UBA or graduating from the four-year school that they transfer to, and will say hi, which is awesome. Office hours, so I kind of changed it this semester, and so I'm gonna kind of, and you guys have the chunk of my time. I'm taking my office hours and pretty much tacking them on to the class, either before or after, depending on what class it is and what time I'm meeting, or do I have a class right after you or before you. Well, your class, I don't have anybody before or after, right before or right after. So I am doing a half an hour of office hours right after class on Monday and Wednesday. So we would just stay in class. If you had any questions and wanted to go through anything, I'll be there. If for some reason after, class, no one wants to stay for office hours, then I'll leave and I won't be there the rest of the day. Unless you decide, hey, I need a 15-minute break. Can I come back and talk to you? And I'm on 15 minutes. I'm cool with that. Tuesday, Thursday, I have more of a chunk of time. I teach less classes. So we're going to meet a half an hour before class, so 12:30 to 1. So I'll log in at 12:30. If you don't have any questions during that time, it does show up in the Confer Zoom that the class has that time. We're not really in class. Technically class, you have to be there from 1 to 1:50. You don't have to come in before unless you want to ask questions, and you don't have to stay later unless you want to ask questions. And then I'm going to change this because I realized I extended how much time I had to put into office hours. But Thursday, that's the only day that I'm going to have an office hour slot that is open to all 4 of my classes. And so if you want, I'm going to post a link on the Canvas page that will get you into that part of the office hours. I'm going to shrink that down to 2 to 2:30, but I'm totally willing to stay until 3 or longer if I can, and you do have more questions and you need more help. If those times don't work for you though, and you still want to meet with me, I'll work with you, and your schedule and my schedule will find something that works and I can meet with you. If no one on that Thursday comes to office hours and I'm there for 10 minutes and no one's there, at 2:10 I'm gonna just log out and I won't come back. If you know that you want to meet with me and you'll be there later than 2:10, just shoot me an email. Let me know that you are coming so I'll stay around and I can meet with you. So time commitment, you'll be in class for 72 hours. Basically outside of class, they expect that students are going to spend at least twice that time, 144 hours. It really depends on how well you know the subject, you know, how fast you learn the subject, you know, how long has it been since you've taken the course, you know, prerequisites. Did you do really well? If you didn't do very well in algebra or trigonometry, you know, you kind of skated by. This is, especially algebra, calculus is really heavily based on, and you really need to know your algebra. So you can review, and I will do kind of some just-in-time remediation where I'll say, okay, domains, do you guys remember how to find domains? You know, and I'll quickly go through it, but there's some stuff that you might have to spend some extra time reviewing. You guys are in luck. I taught college algebra and trigonometry this summer, and so I have my videos recorded and on YouTube, and I believe on your page. Resources. So if you go to these resources here, that will bring you to the videos or video lectures. Okay. And so I have trigonometry videos, so a whole course of trigonometry and a whole course of college algebra videos linked up to YouTube that you can use as support material. But there's also other ways to get support material. YouTube just has so many great instructors on there explaining things. And so sometimes just hearing something a little differently is really helpful. Okay, back to the syllabus. And that's not our syllabus. So attendance, I'm holding my classes synchronously. Not all of your instructors will be doing that. You need to check with them, but I'll be holding class on the time that I would have expected to meet with you in the classroom. For me, it's good because I have a set schedule. I think it's better for a lot of students to have that and kind of feel more like they're in a class. They didn't sign up just to do things online. They wanted that college experience, and hopefully I'm kind of giving you that by meeting you face-to-face. I think it's more personable that way. And I also think that students do better when they get to know their instructor and they know their instructor cares about them and really wants them to succeed, which I do. Drop dates. So drop dates. So a couple of dates just to be familiar with and that you need to kind of have on your radar. So if you decide this is not the course for you, hopefully you know by August 28th and you can drop the course and you get a full refund. If for some reason between August 28th and September 4th, you decide the class is not for you, you can drop the class. You won't get a refund, but nothing will show up on the transcript that you attempted it. After September 4th and through November 13th, you can get out of the course, but a W shows up on the transcript. Something just to be aware of, that the California community colleges, they passed a rule, I want to say that recently, but it hasn't, time flies, probably about 8 years ago, where students can only take a course or attempt a course 3 times at a community or at a college or at a college in that district. So for some reason, if you get a W on a course, that's an attempt. If you get a D and don't pass it, that's like an attempt because you can't go on with a D to another math course. If you get an F, that's an attempt. So I've had in the past where I've had students come from different districts because they attempted a course more than or 3 times and they couldn't take it there. So just something to be aware of. Required material. So pretty much the only thing that I require is that you have MyMathLab, and that does cost money. Because you guys are in my Calculus 1 class, you may be taking Calculus 2. When you purchase this program, you have a couple of different options. And if you're taking Calculus 2 and you know you're taking Calculus 2, you're going to want to sign up maybe for the 24-month access versus the 18-week access. Look into that. Not all of your instructors, depending on who's teaching Calculus 2, is going to use MyMathLab. But if you have MyMathLab and I can extend this course so that you can get back into it and use it, or the instructors will have it so that you have access to it, you'll have access to the textbook. And so you don't technically need that physical textbook. Some students like that, but that's not, optional.
Do you know the average cost of that?
These textbooks are really expensive. And it's possible that you can get like a loose leaf version with the MyMathLab access for a cheaper price. And I think when you're signing up for the course itself for MyMathLab in here, it will ask you, do you want to purchase, have them mail you a textbook, like a loose leaf version. I know a lot of people like that physical feel of the book and to be able to flip back and forth. So, and if anything, and you're going on in calculus, that's one book that you might want to have. Other students like intermediate algebra might not want to ever look at that textbook again. Okay, so to get to homework, you're doing it differently. If you've had me before in the past, you used to get to MyMathLab directly through their website and not through Canvas. As of this summer, I started leaking MyMathLab through the Canvas page. So you have to get through MyMathLab through this page. I'm wondering if I can view this as a student. And I don't know, I'm just trying this. Okay. Let me go back. Let me go back. Sorry. I don't want to go through it that way. But basically from here you would say open my lab and mastering. It's been called MyMathLab for the longest time, and so that's how I refer to it. But open this MyMathLab and mastering, and it will walk you through. Basically, if you've used MyMathLab before, then you can sign up with the account you've had. You're going to have to pay for the course though again. You have a 14-day grace period. So if you don't have the money for the course right now to pay for this access, you want to sign up for that, the access of the course without paying for 14 days. The other thing is, if you're not sure this is the course for you, maybe it's been a while since you've had math and you're rusty and you find that this is way too hard for me and you want to go back. If you haven't paid for it, then you aren't losing out on money. So you might want to use that grace period. So once you sign in, you'll get in and you'll see over here assignments. You click on assignments and they're going to bring them up for you. Let me see. Sorry, oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so a couple of things. This textbook is a new textbook that we implemented last spring. And one thing that I loved about this textbook is that it brought in the material that you needed to know from algebra and trigonometry right into the sections. And so it wasn't that you were reviewing all this material and then jumping into calculus. This is kind of dispersed in there. And so notice at each chapter you're going to have that we cover, you're going to have this chapter 2 skills check quiz or chapter 3 skills check quiz. Basically, it's going to give you a quiz and check to see that you know your algebra and your trigonometry that's needed for this section in calculus. It's then going to see that you know it or you don't know it. If you don't know it, this chapter 2 skills check homework is going to give you extra practice in there. If you do know it or you know some concepts, it's going to take those concepts that you knew and it's going to exclude it from the chapter 2 skills check homework. Dispersed within the sections, again, there are some review questions. And if you showed mastery on it on that chapter 2 skills quiz check, it will exclude those from the sections and it will give you credit for it like you had done it and got it right. Notice there's flags here. Those are prerequisites. The prerequisite is that you take this chapter 2 quiz first. If for some reason you just wanted to jump in and do the homework, you can always start it and just submit it and get a 0 on it and then work through your stuff and come back to it. Notice you have an infinite number of attempts, which is impossible.
Are you sharing your screen? Sorry.
I thought I was. Have I not been sharing my screen the whole time?
No. Oh, you were earlier, and then all of a sudden it stopped.
Okay, okay. Phew. When did it stop?
Like 5, 10-ish minutes ago.
Before I was jumping around MyMathLab?
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, notice here on your Canvas page, you have this My Lab and Mastering. That's where you're going to click on to get to the homework that's assigned on MyMathLab. You would go in here to open MyMathLab and Mastering. That will bring you to, let me see if I can get back to it. That will bring you to MyMathLab, and you would go to assignments. And so this is where I was saying, okay, you're going to have that quiz right before each chapter, just to see you have the algebra and your trigonometry skills for that chapter.
I have a question.
Yes.
There's 2 options for what looks to be the same thing. Which one do we have to buy?
So one is a shorter span period. Like one is 18 weeks, and that's all you need for Calculus 1. But if you're planning on taking Calculus 2, it would be cheaper if you did the longer. I think it might be 24 weeks. I don't remember.
And that would extend into next semester?
It would. And if your instructor used MyMathLab for homework, you wouldn't have to repay for it. If they did not use MyMathLab for homework, you would still have access to the textbook via electronically.
Gotcha.
And so notice this multimedia library, that's one way to access your textbook. And again, the textbook for you is not mandatory, it's optional. You go in here and you can click on which chapter you're in, what section you're doing. And this is where it will pull up a lot of different helpful resources for you. So you can watch videos on someone else lecturing on the topic and doing maybe different problems, maybe going into more detail on certain areas I didn't touch on. This is where you can get access to the electronic textbook. And there's just different things. So if you click on that, that will bring up all the different resources for that section or chapter, depending on what you had clicked up in here. I know that also students found that this study plan was really helpful. And you guys are just going to have to come in here and kind of play around with it if you haven't used it before. But you can go in, and so let's say, you know, I just did some problems on limits and I want to make sure I understand it. And so I want to do a couple more problems. You can go to the study plan, and this is all, this right here, I don't grade you on, it's just there for your resource or benefit. But I could go to limits and continuity, and I could start practicing. And it will let you know if you're not doing things right, and it will give you more problems to help you. It will see what you're mastering and what you're not mastering in there. But assignments, that's where you're going to be going all the time. So you're going to take this quiz first. If you master certain concepts in this quiz, it will exclude it from the skills homework and any of the sections that had those problems in there. You can come back and take this quiz as many times as you want, and it will take the best score. The thing is, it only looks at the first attempt to exclude problems from the sections below. So if you go in and you fail it the first time, and then you go in and you get 100%, it's not excluding any of the questions from these assignments. Okay. So right now, I believe I have everything in here. So I have pretty much all the assignments from a previous semester that I downloaded. Everything right now, except for a couple, are saying that it's due December 14th at 1 p.m. That's when your final is, and that's when I close the homework, and you can't get in there and up any of the scores. As the dates progress, like we cover sections, whatever we cover 1 week in class is always due in class Monday by 1 p.m. And if it's in on time, then you won't get anything docked, but I think that it's important that you do homework. So if for some reason you couldn't complete it on time, you can still get in, work on it. It will tell you that it's late. Do you want to just look at the assignment, or do you want to improve your score? When you're improving the score, it's going to knock off 20% of what you completed after the due date. So basically, if you did all the problems but 2, you're going to get a high score, as long as you got them right before. Okay. Just click on it. Okay, so it's letting me get into this because I'm the instructor, but normally if I click on this and I didn't take the quiz, it's telling me that I have to first take the quiz. So I'm going to continue because I just want to show you what the homework assignments look like and how to maneuver in there. And so when you click on the homework assignment, it's going to come up and you're going to see the problems. Click on question 1. So it says find the slope-intercept equation of a line that has the given characteristics. So it has a slope of 7 and a y-intercept at 0, 2. So I click on here to put in what I want. The y equals, and I'm going to put in the wrong answer, x. can push check answer. It's going to come up that it's wrong. A lot of times you want to read this. It will give you some helpful hints of what you're doing wrong. And then you can go back and figure out. Sometimes you actually did the question right. It just, you didn't put it in the form that it asked you to put it in. So if you didn't read that, you wouldn't know that. And so reading is helpful. I know I am guilty of just going okay and not reading things. Notice that it's not marked wrong. I have usually three attempts before it will mark a question wrong. And once it's gotten marked wrong, I can still make it right by doing a similar question. So instead of going to problem 2, I don't like that this is incorrect and I want 100% of my homework. And so now it's a new question, similar but with different numbers. So y equals, my slope is 2, y equals mx plus b, 2x. And my b value is 9. It's my y-intercept, so plus 9. Oops. So it's x'd, it's wrong, but now I did a similar question. I got it right. Always positive feedback. And this is now, question is marked correct, and it brings you to the next question in here. So graphing. So this is kind of review, but you'll notice that we're actually looking at equations of lines when we're looking at limits or equations of secant or tangent lines, which we'll talk about tomorrow. A couple things with graphing, and maybe I should just go through it just so that you don't have a headache later. You want to make sure that, in this case, this is a solid line. Sometimes we do things that the lines are not included, less than or greater than. Okay. So click on the graph, choose a tool. Let's see. And it's been a while since I've done it. So one thing to notice, because graphing can be a pain if you don't have your point in the right spot. So notice up in here, oops, I can see points, and so that's really helpful. So I knew my y-intercept was at -6, and I know my slope is 6. So if I raise 6, I would go over 1, rise over 1. Okay, so I could see that point is at 1, 0. So if I get it off by a fraction, then it's going to be off. And so sometimes noticing where these points are helpful. So I want to save this. And then I can check my answer. Okay, so if you get to something, you don't understand how to do it, you have help features right here to help you. There's the question help feature. You can help me solve this. It will help you solve the exact problem you're looking at. It will be interactive while you're walking through step by step. You're going to be asked to put information in. But then once you're done with that help me solve it, it will bring you to a different problem, similar problem, but different numbers. View an example, that will view an example that is similar to this, and it will walk you through step by step. It's not interactive, you have to read through it. And then once you get out of view an example, it'll bring you back to the exact same problem that you had started with. Here, you can bring you to the textbook of where this problem you would find how to do in the textbook. Connect to a tutor, I'm not quite sure about that. I don't think we have. We might. I don't know if we pay for that service. Usually I don't like this in here and I might take this away. Ask my instructor. I'd rather you email me than go to that button too easily and ask me. And then print. So you have a question to print. You can print your homework assignment out. So for some reason, maybe you know that your internet is not the greatest and you want to be working on your homework. If you print out the whole homework assignment, then you have all those problems there. You can work on it and then go back and get in when you have good service and plug in your answers. The thing is, you want to make sure you're printing it from your homework assignment and not your classmates, because your problems are going to be a little different than your classmates' problem. And it would be awful if you did a whole assignment and then you figured out that when you went in, they were different numbers and you didn't have it right. You technically don't have to push save. You can exit out of it and it should have everything saved that you had worked on beforehand. And when you get back in there, it will auto be checked and you can go ahead and work some more. Okay, so any questions on MyMathLab?
Yeah, I had a few. One,
Okay.
so this is a necessity. There's no way to get it out. I did look up the price and it's $70. There's no way to get out of that. Okay, great. And will you be giving us when we open MyMathLab mastering, will we be able to, will that just take us directly to the ID for when we need to register for it?
Yeah, so when you open it up, it will, ask you, do you have an account, I believe. And if you do, you would fill, your information, your login information from previous semester.
Does it
And
need to be our school email that we register with it?
you know what, I'm okay with you doing either one.
Okay.
I'm okay with you doing a different email address.
All right.
But yeah, that's one thing that you have to purchase. And I don't know, I'm trying to think about the other instructors. They might just, actually I have no clue what they're doing because we're all remote. I know one normally likes to have the students to have the textbook. And I think just buying the textbook is usually more expensive. Maybe one day I will start using OER material, which is material that's free for both the instructor and then students to use. I went on a workshop on that last week, and I was excited about it, but I'm not there yet, unfortunately. Other questions? Couple things, other things. What did I haven't finished my syllabus, have I? And I'm running out of time. So it is required that MyMathLab, you do need a webcam. You should have a computer so that you can get on and do your homework. You can come to class, you can take your test, etc. If you don't have a computer or a webcam, they are checking them out for the whole semester through the Yuba College Library. The Yuba College Library is open during the semester, so for some reason you're having a hard time with internet, you could technically go down there, I believe, and go into the library. They also have out in the parking lots at Yuba College, especially in front of the, gosh, I think it's the 1000, wherever the fire academy and the police academy, nursing, that building, they have upped the Wi-Fi in those parking lots so that students, if they had to come sit in their car or sit out on a bench and take class that way. Not ideal, but possible. Okay, so you want that webcam. Other thing is, if you need those two things, you might want to get there, try to reserve them as soon as possible, because I know that they have limited number of items or computers and webcams. I know that they have ordered more, so some should be coming in, but who knows when they'll get there. Also, you could use it as a webcam. Most of you guys have these smartphones. I don't know if that's what they call them anymore. But those all pretty much have cameras on there. So if you needed to, you could use that while you take an exam. Hopefully you all have your prerequisites for this class and you're strong in your algebra. I'm not going to go over, but these are the topics that we'll be looking at and you should be able to know how to do when you end the course. Homework, we just went through that. They're going to be on MyMathLab. I am doing less tests than I normally do in a semester. And so I am changing it where the end of each chapter is going to have a chapter quiz. So homework assignments, the average of that on MyMathLab is worth 1 test score. The end of the chapter quizzes are going to be, the average of all of those are going to be worth 1 test score. You're going to have 2 exams and then a final. And you also have participation. I believe participation is also worth 1 test score. So at the end of the semester, for some reason you could not make an exam, I do not place your lowest score with what you get on the final. And so if you miss an exam, we replace that with what you got on the final. But maybe you do really well in tests, and maybe you've had this class before, and usually not the case, but you don't have to do homework. Really, that's usually not the case. But let's say your homework score was lower than all those 2 test scores and your participation and quiz scores, then we can replace that score with what you got on the exam, if the final exam is higher. I have given oral exams since we have gone remotely and teaching online. That was spring semester when I couldn't require students to have webcams. Having webcams, that has discouraged some cheating, but I know more cheating is happening than when we're in the classroom. Our math department is kind of fed up with it, so hopefully it'll get the word out that we're not going to put up with cheating and that we're going to persecute to the fullest extent. So don't do it. It's not good for you, especially these classes, guys. It's going to hurt you because you need this material in future classes if you're in Calculus 1. If I find that you're cheating, I will give you a 0 for that test. You will not be able to use the final exam to replace that test. I'll report you to the dean. I will report you to the vice president, and then they can go and decide what else they want to do. Okay, so everything here that I listed that is worth like 1 test score, these are all worth 15% each. Your final is 25%. Your final is cumulative, so it's everything that we've covered throughout the whole semester. If the final exam is higher than the lowest of one of these scores, that score is replaced, meaning that that final is actually 40% of your grade. If you fall below 55%, you won't pass this course. I will give you an F even if you come to class every single day. So hopefully you guys know, but you can't pass, you usually can't pass, and especially can't pass a math class by not doing the work. So put in the work and the time now so that you don't have to repeat it later. And just to plug real quick, it's okay if you have to repeat a course. There's nothing wrong with this. And a lot of students are now being placed into higher level courses than what they would have been last year. You could have been placed 4 levels below by taking the placement exam. And they find that students being put into these higher level courses, maybe they don't pass it the first time, but they tend to actually get through and pass it versus starting lower and having to progress like 4 classes. That student is less likely each time to progress and move forward, and then we lose students. Okay. Accommodations, if you need any special accommodations, you should have it set up with DSPS. You should email me and let me know about it. You might get extra time on your exams, and if so, I'll be happy to accommodate. Extra credit, if I do extra credit, nothing can exceed 2% of your final grade in the course. So extra credit is not going to carry you and pass you. Professionalism, I'll let you guys read through that because we're running low on time, and there's some couple of things to help you be successful in this class, and I'm here to give you more advice later. Tutoring, you guys got drop-in tutoring. They've extended our hours. They're working with a Sutter Tutoring Center. Our tutors in both centers are going to be via Zoom, and you can log in. It's drop-in basis. They'll have multiple tutors there to help you, and you can come in with questions and they can help you. And then you also have tutoring through the College Success Center, which also is via Zoom, but you need to sign up for that. This is something that you want to do right away. I would do it even if you think you're strong in math. I would sign up for this tutoring. It's weekly tutoring. You get 2 hours free with a tutor that specifically works with your class. And so you need to go in, request tutoring. And with that requesting of the tutoring, it's going to ask you, what times you're available. They'll find a tutor to work with you and maybe other people in your class that has the same available time. If you wait until it's too late, like maybe 3 weeks in and you're like, oh my gosh, this is way too hard, then it might be harder for them to find a tutor that works with your time. So do it now. It's better to do it now. And if later on in the semester you decide, no, you don't really need that tutoring, then you can decide not to do it. But that's some resources there to help you. This right here is really, really tentative on what we're going to be covering when. I have made it so that we have all this extra review time. That's like cushion in here. So if we need to, we can spend extra time on some topics if we need to. If not, then we have a lot of time to review for that final. But my guess is that that's not gonna, I've never had that before. So that's not gonna be the case. Okay, so that was quickly an overview of the course. Any questions before I let you guys go?
Where would the test be taken? Is that like on MyMathLab or?
No, so the tests are going to be taken during test or class time. Because your class only is 50 minutes, your test will probably extend over 2 days. And so you'll have half of the test on one day and then the next half the next day. So it will be during class time. You guys have to have a webcam. So all of you will have your webcams on during that time. I will have it so that the document or the test is available right when class starts, or maybe 10 minutes before class starts, where you can look at it. If you have a printer, you can print it out so that you can just fill it in. If you don't have a printer, then what you're going to use is you can use your paper and write out the questions and do your work. Once you're done with a test, before you log out of class and turn off the webcam, you'll let me know that you're done with the exam. And then you'll go and upload it to the Canvas page assignment. And once it's uploaded, your work, your written work, then you can log out of the class for the day. And that's kind of, I think I laid that out too in the syllabus. And I'll again go over that as we get closer to a test date. Any other questions?
How do you mark attendance?
Okay, so attendance. With this Zoom, basically you guys coming in, I can go in and look at who came in for the day, how long they've been there. So, did you come in late? Did you leave? I know sometimes you guys get bumped out. I've been bumped out before. So I can see who is there for the day. And at least for this first week when I'm in Colorado, I don't have like a printer and stuff, so it's easier for me just to do it that way. There might be days where I call roll. Probably not though, because that's time that I could be lecturing or going over material.
And what time do we have to be here in order to be on time and not late?
1 o'clock.
Okay.
And so, and I might have to change your times in Zoom. I don't know if I changed them after I changed office hours before I posted them. But I will change it to reflect office hours either before or after the course on that day. So you're not, technically, you don't have to be here half an hour early if it's on a Tuesday, Thursday, and it says it's starting at 12:30. As long as you're here at 1, you're here on time. I would try to get in a couple minutes early just because sometimes you have problems with it connecting right away. And then class, technically ends at 1:50, but I will stay on Monday, Wednesday, an extra half an hour if anybody needs extra help or questions. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the recording. So that was a kind of an overview of the course, and we will tomorrow start with actually learning some calculus. Let me stop this. Actually, before I stop that, there are a couple assignments that you need to do, and some of them are due tomorrow on Canvas. I think there's a couple discussion, and then that syllabus that you understood the syllabus initialed and uploaded it as a single PDF. So part of the assignment is be able to upload something as a single PDF. And there's a lot of different software out there that's free that you can do. So you don't have to buy anything. Okay.